Another edition of Pat's Personal Portraits, introducing you to fascinating people who do fascinating things. And I guarantee you're going to be interested in this because it's about you. What more fascinating thing could we be talking about than you in 2012? And if I'm talking about the next year, I have to talk to Charlotte Benson. Charlotte, your credentials as an astrologer really are very, very impressive. And it allows us then, in at least looking ahead, to find out how to weed out the phonies, the people who don't have the same kind of credentials. How do we shop for an astrologer?
Well, just the same way you would do with any professional person from whom you'd be getting advice, I think. There is a mechanism for astrologers, even in this day and age, to get diplomas and certificates and documentation on their abilities. And so I happen to have all of those from 4 different institutions. And there are a lot of people out there in the market these days that are really enthusiastic about astrology and are very well-meaning, but it takes really a lot of education and experience to be able to read the meanings of the planets.
And you've done so academically, and that's one of the reasons why it is that I've always been interested in talking to you on radio and television. But since you have also studied not only here, but also internationally, why don't we start with the basics? Define what astrology really is and what it isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, astrology places an individual's life in the context of a very large environment, in the context of the cosmos, as a matter of fact. The philosophers say that a child is born at the exact time when his life story is going to be consistent with the planetary positions in the sky. And so that comes down basically to having we know where the planets are and we know where they're going to be in the future. And based on thousands of years of documented experience, we can say that the movement of a certain planet over a certain place in a person's birth chart is going to produce a general effect.
So I was born in Kansas, and I'm a Leo. And at that moment, if I had been born in Beirut, would I be a dramatically different personality?
Yes, you would be. Yes, there will be certain characteristics that are going to transcend cultures, of course. But you bring up a good point, Pat, because the astrology that's presented in pop culture and the newspaper has no bearing on what real astrology actually is.
Now, those are the sun signs.
Yes, the sun signs, and that would be analogous to saying there's 12 different types of personalities, and they're so easily pigeonholed into some particular behavior. You might have noticed it doesn't actually work that way, because we take into account. I take into account 9 planets, and there are just innumerable permutations of these planets in different positions and their relationship to themselves, and that's why there's so many different unique personalities on the planet.
Can we prove it scientifically? It
has been proven scientifically many times in the past. For some unknown reason, there's in the last couple of centuries, there's been a sort of a scientific bias against astrology, because what scientists want to measure to prove astrology simply cannot be measured. However, there's been plenty of experiments in the past through, for instance, RCA. Remember the old RCA?
Sure.
They were very instrumental in proving the impact that the planets have on the what I call the biosphere. The electromagnetic sphere, or life on Earth, and that's what astrology does. It looks at the relationship between what the planets are doing in the sky and what's happening on Earth.
Well, let's find out about at least a couple of the personalities who have a great effect on what's happening on Earth. Let's take a quick look through the eyes of professional astrologer Charlotte Benson at the President of the United States. What kind of a year does 2012 look like for him?
Well, actually, from what I can deduce, he actually seems to be in better shape than the other 2 candidates that I've looked at.
I asked you to look at Mitt Romney and Newt Gingrich.
Yes.
Although the leaders among the Republican candidates seem to change by the hour, you took a look at those two.
I did.
And comparatively, Obama, Mitt, and Newt, what do you see?
Well, I think it would actually be in the order that you just expressed it, in terms of their popularity or their viability or their power coming up through 2012. Our president has the benefit of having the most powerful planet in the solar system, Pluto, which is, by the way, still a planet, no matter what the astronomers say. It's in a very uplifting relationship to his own Pluto. And since that is the planet of power and influence and control, I would say that just that one influence is going to support him somehow.
Do you see anything astrologically that says that the Mayans were right and that 2012 we're all going to go someplace else because the end of the world is coming?
No, that's not what the Mayans said. See, certain words carry such heavy weight, and translations are so important.
Yes.
The Mayans said it would be the end of an age, not the end of the world. So it may be the end of the world as we know it, but the Mayans never made that assertion that it would be.
Listen, when I found out I was born in Kansas, I thought that was the end of the world. But to tell you the truth, all I can say right now is that 2012 is a pretty interesting time for all of us. If you want to find out how interesting it's going to be for you, you can get in touch with Charlotte Benson, who happens to be an astrologer, leading us into this, what I hope is a happy new year. You can find out more, of course, all the time on KTAR.com.